The government yesterday just extended, say, forbearance. Now they're saying the first payment is not going to be due until December of 2025. Now, over the past 2 months, we've helped over 1,200 FitBUX members decide if staying or leaving would be beneficial towards them. And in this video, I'm going to share with you one big reason why it makes sense to leave, say, forbearance. And then I'm going to share with you the top 5 reasons that we see that make sense to stay on, say, forbearance. That being said, let's jump into it. Let's start with the update on, say, forbearance and the one big reason why you would want to leave. As I mentioned, the government just announced that they're extending, say, forbearance again, and now it's going to go till December 2025 is when the earliest payment is going to be. So while this extension gives you more time without having to make a payment and no accrued interest, it just kicks the can down the road longer. It extends your repayment timeline. So all those people that are saying they don't want to make payments to their 50s and 60s, this is going to make that more of a reality because it kicks the can down the road. And that is the one big reason why you shouldn't stay on, say, forbearance. Every month that goes by is another month that you're stuck in repayment. And I get it, on the internet when I state this, people give me a pushback saying, well, there's no accrued interest. But let's look at reality. The accrued interest thing is more of just a talking point. And what do I mean by that? If you're going for loan forgiveness, when the loans are forgiven, you don't have to pay the interest. So why is it a big deal if there's accrued interest or not? Wouldn't you rather be out of your loan a full year earlier than be concerned about interest that you're not going to pay anyways? All right. Therefore, it still makes sense for most of you to go onto IBR or PAYE. Now, one thing I want to point out before we dive into the 5 reasons that you might want to stay on, say, forbearance is that you'll notice out of these 5 reasons, only one pertains only to student loans. The other 4 pertain to the bigger picture of your financial life. And that's one of the big reasons why I started FitBUX 10 years ago, was to say, hey, can we create a technology that's affordable, that looks at everything as a whole? That way individuals are not making a mistake that can haunt them in the future. The bottom line is, don't just put your head in the sand because you don't have to make payments and then wait till December and say, oh shit. And number 2, don't look at this decision in isolation. You got to look at it in the big picture. Okay, with that, let's jump into the top 5 reasons why you might want to stay on, say, forbearance. Now, the first reason we typically see with new grads, and that is you don't have an emergency fund. Because you don't have to make payments on your student loans, the emergency fund is way more important. Therefore, if you don't have that 3 to 6 months of savings, this is an awesome opportunity for you to build that up before going in and actually entering repayment. So in your situation, you would want to build that up. And then let's just say that takes you 3 or 4 months. Then go in and switch and say, look, I want to go on to IBR or pay as you earn. The second reason is because you have high interest rate credit card debt or personal loans that you either pay off. So let's just say you have like a 10 to 20% credit card or personal loan. This gives you the ability not to have to make payments on your student loans and strategically use that money to pay off those credit cards. The third reason is very similar to the second. It has to do with high interest rate card debt. And we've seen this a lot over the last 3, 4, 5 months simply because of inflation and car prices going up through the roof, as well as interest rates being higher. We've seen interest rates on car loans at like 9, 10, 11%. So if you fall in that bucket, this might give you a very good time over the next 12 months to pay off that car loan a lot faster and get that out of the way. So when student loan repayment starts up again, either that car payment is completely gone or how much you owe on it is a lot lower and you can pay it off quicker. Now, the fourth reason to stay on safe forbearance is a great problem to have. I hope every single one of you guys end up in this situation. But we've seen it with a number of FitBUX members where they started their own jobs or side hustles or whatever it may be, whereby they're making so much money now in income that if they were to restart repayment, they're actually going to get kicked off of forgiveness because their payments are going to be so high. So staying on safe forbearance basically gives them an interest-free loan for the next like 12 months. So if you find yourself in that situation where your income has gone up so high that you're going to get kicked off of forgiveness anyways, you might as well use this opportunity to have an interest-free loan for the next 12 months. And the fifth reason, this is the only one that has to do with student loans in isolation and not the big picture of your overall finances. And that is if you're on PSLF and you're close to forgiveness. Why is that such a big deal? Because they have this thing called PSLF buyback now. And so if you're like 6 to 12 months, maybe 18 months away from having your loans forgiven, then you can potentially buy back these months and still get it forgiven. Now, why are we only saying 6, 12, or 18 months? First of all, this buyback program is new. I personally don't trust it yet. I haven't seen it been done enough. The process of doing it hasn't been fleshed out. How quickly they could do it. Is the Trump administration going to do it? All these questions, right? Like, to me, there's a lot of question marks there. So I'm not confident on it. But if you're still like 2, 3, 4, 5 years out or more before getting PSLF, why kick the can down the road? You're working, get credit for it, go on to IBR Pay As You Earn and start accruing that time. Leave the what ifs out and use what you know right now and get closer towards loan forgiveness. Now, if you are saying, yeah, I don't fall into one of those situations to stay on safe forbearance, as I mentioned before, the one big reason to leave is because you want to start that payment clock now. So if you're in that situation, you're trying to decide, be sure to watch this video next.